Hello, everybody. I'm Brentley, and we got a new boycott going on. Just that quick. They are just drunk with boycott power. It seems at this point. They just they're going after everything, and they're going after themselves this time. It seems because there's no one that I know that watches the show The Chosen. None of my friends watch it. I don't watch it. I've never seen it. But but Christians love it. They're obsessed. I mean, maybe not obsessed, but they love it. They watch it a lot. It's a Christian show. It's about Jesus. It's doing its best, I think, to be biblically accurate. According to and not according to like history or anything. I think it's more like according to the Gospels. And according, of course, to the most popular religions. I'm not really sure, or denominations. I'm not really sure like what it's based on entirely. Like if it's Protestant, if it's Catholic, I don't know. I really don't. But I think it's somewhere in the middle there. It's a sort of something so everybody, all the Christians can kind of get into it, right? And so that's what we're watching today. Now, this guy, he kind of, for the most part, he seems to just sort of do what I do, which is just watching a lot of videos. And yeah, so I don't know. So I'm gonna kind of just be watching his reaction to what usually is him just watching other people's videos and then reacting to it.
Y'all, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. They got another one.
Jeez.
They got The Chosen.
Now, I mean, I want you to look at what is happening here. They're filming on set, right? This is film. This is a still, I guess, from the backstage, whatever, right? And on the camera is, oh my gosh, it's a teeny tiny. It could not be a smaller flag. I mean, a teeny tiny pride flag during the Pride Month. I mean, this is Pride Month. It's like even like this is just for anybody that, as long as you're not a severe asshole, just to be like, yeah, cool. Let me show my support. That's what this month is about, right? And they're freaking out about it already. So I think this guy hopefully will break it down. I haven't watched this video yet, but I think that's what he's doing here.
They really got The Chosen. They really got The Chosen.
Who is they? Like, what is he talking about? They got The Chosen. What? Like the people that want you to not like hate people for no reason? That they're the people he's talking about? Like what is happening here?
They really got The
Wow,
Chosen.
he's just repeating that over and over again.
They've got The Chosen out
Again,
here
wow.
flying the flag on the set. And
I guess okay.
So
it's a recording. It's a record. Okay, so I'm watching him watch a recording. Okay, got it.
It's one thing to fly the flag on the set, right? It's another thing to intentionally edit it into the video and then post that video on YouTube.
Did they intentionally do that?
They got another one, y'all.
What is he talking about? Weird. Like I don't I can't say I understand exactly what he's talking about. What his problem is here. Like who did do you intentionally put that in? Like they're like, hold on. Now make sure that we get the pride flag in there because everybody's been just so sane lately about this sort of thing. Get it in there. Yeah.
They got another one, y'all.
He just keeps saying that.
Say it ain't so. Christians, just like we boycotted Target and Bud Light, we need to boycott The Chosen.
Are Christians allowed to do anything? I mean, like, I already know their religion is like very stringent, as far as like not being allowed to do anything. Of course, from what I remember growing up, we weren't allowed to listen to secular music, or we could call it non-Christian music. We couldn't watch non-Christian movies. We couldn't read non-Christian news. Like, it had to be Christian everything. Otherwise, it was bad, and now they're just like upping the ante to like, now you can't shop at Target. You can't drink Bud Light, or be seen with anyone, it seems, that does drink Bud Light. Cause then people might have some ideas about your sexuality, and now you can't watch your favorite television show, The Chosen.
Those
I
are not
can't
my
do
words. Those are the
anything.
words of John Root on
And
Twitter.
like, and who is about cancel culture again? Which side does that? Which side does the canceling thing? Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, sure.
It
Ah,
says the
get over
promotion of
this.
the pride flag is never acceptable in church or any form of ministry. This is a tweet from John Root. While you boycott and encourage friends and family to do the same thing, please pray for Dallas Jenkins, the actors, actresses, production crew, and everyone at Angel Studio so they may understand the error of their ways. So that's
Damn. So, well, first of all, according to your very, very fundamentalist doctrine, man, like there's other people, like that's not true. I mean, it's when they just say stuff like that outright. It's so funny. Like, it's never acceptable. Yeah, within your little like freak show doctrine, like denomination, sure. Yeah, it's never acceptable because you guys are fucking crazy. You're a bunch of crazy people that like that will just hate anybody if they're not exactly your very little cookie cutter, person that you demand they be. Then you will hate them no matter what. Doesn't matter what you are. If but it's anything in relation to the queer community at least, and even so, just like like political stuff too. Like if you wore like a Bernie shirt or something too, I'm sure they'd be like, it's never acceptable to wear a Bernie Sanders T-shirt under any circumstance while you're doing a ministry. Like they would probably have something like that to say.
a tweet from John Root. Don't know who that is. That's a tweet from John Root. Now, Dallas Jenkins seemingly responded, and I'm going to show you because his actors and the people who are working on The Chosen are all defending.
I'm sorry. I know this is an old reference, but all I can keep hearing is Dallas Jenkins like that.
The pride flag being on the set.
I know that's old,
which we'll talk about in a second.
Still hilarious.
But Dallas Jenkins seemingly responded 5 hours ago.
You mean he responded
by saying
seemingly
no comment?
Oh, so he didn't respond because he responded in not response. No.
That's what Dallas Jenkins has to say about it. Now, what's super interesting, this article from Newsweek, it says Jesus TV show actors defend the pride flag on set after calls to boycott. Some people want it.
They did.
Some people are saying to shut it down. Some people are saying to shut it down. And look, you know what I said?
For a tiny flag. I mean, we're talking a flag that's like this big. It's like, it's teeny tiny and it's on the camera. Like, and everybody on the crew, like, might not be your very specific doctrine of your very specific denomination of your very specific religion. Like, this is exactly why y'all can't have anything made that's any good at all, because y'all are, I don't know if is the cameraman just okay with the gays? Okay, well then we got to get him out of here. We can't have that. Okay, well, who's left? Well, it's just me and Stu. Oh, all right. Well, we're gonna have to make the entire movie ourselves then, I guess.
I said this when they were getting success in the box office. When they released The Chosen, I think it was season 3, it came out in theaters, and they did millions of dollars in the box office. What? And I said
the TV show came out in theaters. Is that a normal thing that happens? Because if so, I would love to go back and watch Breaking Bad that way. I'm just saying. Okay, they had some pretty cool camera work in that one.
Although I think it's incredible that they're having this much success and that they're bringing so much attention to Christian media. My fear,
because nobody knows anything about Christianity or anything. That's why we really need to know. We really need shows like The Chosen, because nobody knows the story of Jesus. It's just, most people don't even know like what it is, what he's all about, and what his deal is.
Is the direction that they choose to go in once they become mainstream. Because make no doubt about it, The Chosen is no longer just what you would think of as this, small indie crowd-funded television show. They're actually a massive mainstream player. I don't know if y'all knew this or not, but just on May 22nd, just a couple weeks ago, The Chosen worldwide distribution rights acquired by Lionsgate. So y'all got to understand something. The Chosen is not this, we're independent crowd.
Well, again, so in order to have decent like camera work, decent music, decent sound production, decent set production, all those things, you're gonna have you're now having to reach out to other studios, right? Like Lionsgate, which it doesn't isn't Lionsgate the one that has like Twisted Pictures and has the Saw movies and stuff? I could be wrong, but they're fine with that though. They're fine like having the company that pay that funds movies like Saw 1 through gazillion, whatever the fuck we're on now. I don't even know. But and they can get paid money from those people to produce their show. But as soon as one of the cameramen or camera people, I guess I should say, because they it has a flag on it, a rainbow flag. Oh no, I mean, I shut everything down. Shut it down. Everybody boycott. Everybody boycott. There, so there's somebody on this set that doesn't hate gay people as much as we do. We got to shut this whole thing down.
Funded. They still might be crowd funded, but they're no longer this small operation. They're operating at a much larger scale.
You're not,
and when you're operating,
I mean, I don't know how that works exactly, but I think if you're being produced by Lionsgate, it's no longer being funded by crowd is being crowdsourcing the funds or whatever. I don't think that's how that works. I think once the studio steps in, they're the ones that are footing the bill, and then they just have to make back a certain percentage of whatever.
such a large scale as they're stepping into now, signing a worldwide distribution rights deal with Lionsgate. Now they are, quote unquote, in bed.
Oh, okay. So maybe Lionsgate just does the distribution. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but it just seems like if you got somebody like that stepping in, then you're not you're no longer crowd funded. But it's crazy too because a lot of these movies, they get millions of dollars. Movies, television shows, and stuff like that. They get millions of dollars because most of the people that support them, unlike they would make you think, they're the most powerful and wealthy people in the country in America. Like most of them, that's why they always get what they want. That's why we have 450 anti-trans bills right now. It's because the people with all the power use that power to hurt the people they hate, right? And then they turn around and act like a victim if they're not allowed to tell other parents how they're allowed to raise their kids. They can't even be asked to make sure their kids are fucking vaccinated, but they get to tell parents of trans kids how they're what they're allowed to do. Unreal.
With some very large players in the space of media and entertainment, they have to conform to the views of which mainstream media wants them to conform to. And one of those
no, that's not that's so weird. They're like, "Yeah, you have to conform to this or that." No, you're just gonna have people on the production sets, that are gonna not be hateful bigots like you guys. And then now that you find out that one of the people on the set is not a hateful bigot as bad as you guys, now you gotta boycott it. And now he's sitting there saying, "Oh, they're being forced to do that." No, man, you guys are just crazy. Like and what is wrong with a little teeny tiny pride flag? It's like, wow, man, you shouldn't be hating people in the first place, especially when your whole bag is claiming to be moral and loving and all of these things, and yet you hate a group so bad that you will cost a company billions of dollars for just having a trans person in the ad. Oh, they're in the ad. Oh, okay. Then we all have to just hate the entire brand now. You can't tell me that's not hate. That, I mean, because I've had people go, oh, well, that's, we don't hate them. We just don't approve of. No. That's no longer just not approving. That's hate. Okay. If you're so angry that a company just had a trans person in a commercial that you are now going on like a tirade, and making basically an entire 24-hour news cycle over and over and over again about how we need to all hate Bud Light and everybody needs to stop buying Bud Light because they had a trans woman in their ad there, an ad that you had to seek out too, by the way. It wasn't on any of the television ads or anything like that. It was an ad that you had to go find on purpose. And they did that and then they got mad about it. It's like they're always trying to upset themselves. It's amazing. Anyway, and then they do the same thing with Target. And because of the one section, because again, they can't have people selling stuff to people that that they don't like. Because then that means that entire company just needs to burn to the ground or whatever. Like it's insane. And yet, and now here we are. Here we are on to the next thing, which is the Chosen television show that had a tiny pride flag. And I'm sure it was I'm sure they accidentally showed it. They're like, oh shit, wait, was the pride flag in that behind the scenes footage? Oh shit. Oh, we're in trouble now. We're in trouble. They were like that. He's sitting there trying to act like they did it on purpose. I highly doubt they did it on purpose. That thing was all but concealed. It was like teeny tiny on the hooked on the camera. Clearly, somebody with a family member or friend was like, I'm showing my support, while I'm here, and no, and now all the right wing snowflakes are melting down.
Views that the
Unreal.
mainstream media wants to push is obviously the agenda that we're seeing, that this whole month, this whole Pride Month is all about.
What is that agenda?
So I'm not surprised.
I wish you would just tell me what that agenda is. That, hey, we don't treat people like garbage because they love somebody that you're not attracted to yourself. Like, like they're not allowed to be attracted to the people that that they are attracted to, because you got to approve of everybody else's attraction, I guess. Like, what is the agenda? It's disgusting. Like, I don't understand this. It's so stupid.
And actually, I really want to root for The Chosen, but The Chosen has never really been for me. I tried to get into it, and at one point I was into it, but I really just couldn't. It just didn't stick for me. Something just wasn't right for me. It just didn't stick for me.
Maybe because it's a boring ass show about Jesus, like most boring story from the most boring time period. Like, how do you get like more boring than all of that shit? Like, it's not for anybody really, unless you're like brainwashed into into feeling like you need to like it. Like that's those people. Yeah, those people will like it. Jeez.
Let me read this article.
Okay.
So this is from Newsweek. Jesus TV show actors defend pride flag on set after calls to boycott. It says actors from The Chosen have united in defense of a pride flag on set after conservative Christians boycotted the religious television show. Boycotts of organizations becoming involved. I'm not gonna read that part. Here's the part I want to read.
That was weird. Okay, that was a decision. I'm not gonna read that part. Moving on. Because that part just thinks I'm gonna read it. No way, part. Look here, bucko. I'm not reading you. What was that?
Here's the interesting part. So this individual, it says, apparently this is one of the actors on the show. It says, another one of the actors on The Chosen here. Anyone who was going to go at one of our family members for something like this is no fan of ours. They can close the door on the way out. Love one another.
That's a weird. I don't understand. I think he was trying to say something further, and he's like, "That's not very Christian." Let me just say that they can close the door on the way out. A very normal thing that happens every time somebody walks in or out of a door. Like, what do you mean? Like, because he was saying like they can hit, they can hit their ass on the door as they leave or whatever. Like that whole don't let the door hit you on the ass when you leave. But like they can close the door on the way out. Like, okay, like what?
There, as I have loved you, we stand with our brother.
See, and look, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, a lot of these people have like a loved one or a friend or something like that, somebody that they care about that is a member of the LGBTQIA plus community. A lot of us, are like that. A lot of us have friends and family that are part of that community, and that's why it's so hurtful to even us, those of us that have friends, but it's really hurtful to those that are part of that community, and just seeing the vitriol that comes out of these angry, hateful, fearful, nutbag, religious fundamentalist like assholes. They're just the they're seeing that vitriol, and then just and they know that they have to exist in the same world with these people, right? They have to go to places, and they don't know if they are unsafe in any place they go, you know? And so that's why flags and stuff like that are so helpful, because then they can see that if they get there, like, oh, good, there's a pride flag here. Maybe I'm at least safe here, Uh, there's just that kind of signaling with the flag. That's sort of the point, right? It's just to let them know that they are safe there. And, these people are like, "No, you better not fly a flag that says that they are safe here. You better not, because 'cause they're not safe here." That's what it really is. They want these people to feel unsafe. I mean, because in Florida, they're literally they are, like, down here where I'm at, they literally are unsafe. I mean, they just passed a bill that basically we don't know if we're gonna get arrested just for having a pride parade, for just going to pride or having pride, because the bills that DeSantis are writing are so they're so vague, right? And they're written in such a way that it's just sort of like this blanket, like we can't really tell, and it basically makes it so that they can arrest people just for being gay, or just celebrating pride, or just doing these things, because they want that to be the case. But they also want to be like, oh no, that's not what the bill means. I can't tell you how many people have told me, like, oh no, the don't say gay bill doesn't say that. It doesn't say don't say gay. It doesn't say that anywhere you know? It says, and then I'm like, "What does it say?" And they're like, "Oh, well, you just can't teach gender, what do they say? Like, gender identity or sexual orientation to anyone under grade 3 or grade 3. I've been hanging out with too many Canadians right there. That's what that is. Third grade or age appropriate. Now, they don't think about it, but the age appropriate part kind of like makes it so that third grade thing is superfluous, right? Because you can, any parent that decides can just say, oh, my kid is not age appropriate, even though they're 18 years old in high school. They can say that, right? And then get that school in trouble. So yeah, it's he's writing these bills in such a way that it is, targets this entire community, basically trying to get them to leave and anyone that supports them to leave, so that all that's left are a bunch of nutbag, hateful bigots, and so they can have that reputation in this state as a bunch of nutbag, hateful bigots, to the point where it looks like Disney might even be packing up and leaving, because they're like, he's just that big of an idiot. He's going to sit there and hurt the only money coming into the state, really, like the main reason why money comes into the state. He's going to mess with that, and then basically going to force us to have taxes. We're going to have a state tax if we don't have these types of employers that are like Disney and stuff. People aren't going to come here, and people aren't going to come here for vacations and whatnot. It doesn't matter how nice the beaches are if it's full of hateful nutbag bigots, that are allowed to hit protesters with their car, and like another bill that he put through, and not be held civilly liable. Yeah, I mean, it's just everything he can do to make this place a hellscape. That's what's happened, and then it's going to cost us a state tax, and then he's going to end up losing his base. But maybe not, because they hate. They're just that hateful. That's how hateful they are. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll cause him to lose his base at all. Maybe it won't. Anyway, sorry about the tirade there. But
So this is
that
a
shit's
direct
pissing me off.
tweet from one of the actors in the show in response to this flag that was so publicly shown
So
on
publicly
the behind the
shown,
scenes.
and that's like enough reason to freak out, because it was so publicly shown. A rainbow. Can you believe that?
On the set of The Chosen. Now, what I find even more interesting is he's not the only one that's talking about it. There's other actors from the show. Another actor, Jordan Ross, It says, "My brother isn't the only one who stands." Let me show this to you. It says, "My brother isn't the only one who stands by the LGBTQ members of our chosen family. Get out of here with your hate, homophobia, and ignorance. Not very Jesus like of you." And like I said, Dallas Jenkins seemingly responded with simply saying, "No comment." Now, I don't know. He might not have responded to this. I don't know what else he would be responding to at a time like this by saying no comment, but I'm assuming that this post is directly related to the drama that's happening right now. Now, here's the thing.
Let's hear the thing, yo. Let's hear it.
As
What's the
I
thing?
said before, The Chosen is no longer this small mom and pop operation. They're now operating at a very large scale, and they have a very large distribution rights deal in place
Okay, so it was just the distribution. My bad. All right, I got you.
with Lionsgate. So you can't just assume that everybody who is working on the set of The Chosen is going to have the same exact Christian beliefs as the messages that they're trying to portray on the show. You would you
No,
you would
no, no. As far as I understand, the messages in the show are just the Jesus story. It's just the story of Jesus and the disciples going through their stuff, right? And of course, there's a lot of liberties taken, I think, for narrative structure and all that type of stuff. But it's written basically for just any Christian to appreciate it, right? And that includes like Episcopalian and other like no like total like super chill Christians, you know, that are just like, dude, we don't, we're not like this with this, with all this hate stuff. Like we love Jesus, like, and we don't hate gay people and stuff. Like there's plenty of Christians that are like that, right? And these idiots, these fundamentalists, sit around and act as though everyone like the only like Christians that exist are the ones that get mad at and hate gay people, you know.
would have to assume that there's some people who have different beliefs, right? It's not all going to be the same. But here's the thing. We can't be affirming to these different lifestyles that are so clearly defined as sin, especially on the
What
set.
does that mean, affirming? You can't be affirming to these lifestyles that are sin. What does that mean? Like you have to be a dick to them no matter what? You have to what? You have to like what if they showed the flag on fire? Would that have been better? Would you just be like, all right, cool. That's like affirming that you hate them. That's what you really want, you know? Jesus.
Set of a Christian television show. I understand the call to love everybody, but love
I don't think you do.
is sometimes confrontational. It's not always going to be, you know, cozy and warm and feel good. Sometimes the way that you can love on one another is letting them know when they're acting in the wrong or when they're going down a path of destruction. In this case,
Dude,
when they're
this is
glorifying a lifestyle that is so clearly defined as
it's not
being sinful.
It's not glorifying it. This is where it gets so weird. Just accepting somebody, right, or accepting a group of people doesn't mean you're fucking glorifying it. Like, how is it glorifying? Like, what define glorify? You know, like because I don't understand what you mean by that. If you're saying like I'm just cool with these people, like we want you to be able to feel safe here. That's really what it means. And he's taking that as that's glorifying them by letting them know that they are safe and not like gonna be like possibly beaten up and gay bashed, which that is just being affirmative to them, and you're like, you're putting them up on a pedestal and saying, hey, everybody, look, being gay is like better than everything else. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like,
But I'm not really surprised, to be honest with you. You know, the media has their version of, and when I say media, I mean the mainstream media has their
of course.
version of Christianity, and their version of Christianity is very inclusive to lifestyles that are clearly defined as sin.
It's not first of all, it's not clearly defined. Nothing in the Bible is clearly fucking defined, okay? The whole thing is a mismatch of nonsense, and, it's been it's been retranslated and had stuff added back in other languages that, were the hundreds of years later that were then it's been curated so much over throughout time that it could not possibly clearly say literally anything. It can't even clearly say not to murder because there's other parts where it's like, go ahead and murder.
And so as things continue to play out, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how,
What this dude just takes pauses.
number one, the chosen as a TV show, how they navigate now being a very large television program with a worldwide distribution deal, and also how that affects and changes the messaging that they are putting in the show, because there's now millions and millions of dollars at stake if you were to say the quote unquote wrong thing in terms of, hey, that's a sin. You know what I'm saying? So, man,
So we got another one
The
here.
Chosen is in hot water. I'm taking back Mr. Worldwide. Should I take it back? The Chosen is in hot water. We already covered it. 3-inch flag flying on their set. I think this is friendly fire. Personally, if you guys got any questions for me, I talked about how sometimes we have non-Christian contractors that work with us. I'm not going to dictate what people have on their personal property. Personally, where do us as Christians draw the line on pride person activists working on set of a movie or series about Jesus in the Bible as a equipment person, background actor playing the main character? That's a great question. I don't know. Where we draw the line, and what line has
Clearly right up to just everybody. Everybody. That's where you draw the line because y'all are just that fucking bloodthirsty lately. I say lately, but that's just because it definitely has ramped up. I mean, if you look at the number of anti-LGBTQIA plus community bills that are like directly impacting them on purpose, and then of course, the Republicans always sit back and go, "Oh no, it's not for that. It's because of this, that, and the other thing." And they either blatantly lie or they're just completely gaslighting you. Like the kid that's got chocolate all over his face. Trying to make an argument about, hey, just because you've never seen a chocolate cake disappear doesn't mean that it's not possible. That sort of thing.
has to be drawn, right? So if you're doing a massive production like The Chosen, what line are we drawing? Are we drawing a line of are we drawing the line of subjecting who is the best person for this job in light of culture war topics? Is that the line we're drawing? Meaning that no gays because of culture war stuff?
Wow,
I think
he can't even say gays on his channel. Wow. I mean, and it wouldn't. Wow. I mean, it's probably because of that bill. That you can't say gay.
That's kind of goofy.
He must be in
Now,
Florida.
if I'm running a church, like I'm not putting somebody in those positions, right? But I think that's you got to be specific on what do you mean by line? What do you mean by line? Yeah, so I think we just have to be very specific on what we mean by line. And listen, this is what I'll say to you.
It's how far do you take this? That is what he's asking. Are you really? He's doing a Jordan Peterson define line, define pride, define person, define slash, define activist. Yeah, it's like
this is what I'll say to you. Do you think there's something about the idea that when we look at the biggest things in Christian media with movies, specifically movies, The Chosen, Jesus Revolution, Passion of the Christ, that all of those are done by very flawed individuals, right? Whether that's Jonathan Rumi and him being a Catholic and some of his theology I may disagree.
Listen to that. So he's saying that they're very, very flawed individuals. And he's like the guy that made whatever it was, he just like the Passion, I guess. He's like, he's a Catholic. I mean, can you believe that? It's just like,
with whether that's being done by
so
other
divisive.
actors, whether that's being done by set designers.
They can't even get along with themselves. It's insane. Like they're purposefully drawing lines in the sand to hate one another. They can't even, and yet they're the people that are all about love. talking about God is love. Yet we only love the people in our little like box that we've like drawn so many lines on the ground that we're like cornered into this tiny little spot.
Like, do you think there's something to the idea that whenever you see something of high art, whenever you see something of high art and Christian, there's usually non-Christians involved? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about that? And why is that? Is it because we've created a culture and an infrastructure where we actually don't value high art, where there's not a lot of Christians looking to get into acting, looking to get into cinema? Why is that?
You're not
Why is that a
allowed
pattern?
to, because you're not allowed to, man. If you're constantly, especially in acting, like the whole point is to like play characters, and if your whole thing is like I don't play non-Christian characters because I might have to use God's name in vain or say a swear word, yeah, you're not going to get very far in acting. You know, you're not going to get very far anyway, anywhere. You're only going to be able to act in whatever movie Kevin Sorbo's in, and that's it.
Pattern with Christian stuff. Yeah, Mel Gibson is a wild boy. This stuff I disagree with Jonathan Rumi. I bet
Did
you
you
if you
say
went down the
wild
line of
boy?
every single person that was credited in Jesus Revolution, there's probably folks there that had issues. You see what I mean? And so it's like,
The one character of the movie I've already seen it, but I've covered videos where they were freaking out about Jesus Revolution because of the one character, Frisbee. He is his name is Frisbee. It's not the character isn't a anyway. Um, he I guess had issues with they said issues with he was gay. You know, he's a gay person, which is obviously perfectly fine, and he should just say "fuck you" to the church and be who he is. Saying this in the present tense because I don't know if he's still alive or not, but but they, you know, and they have a huge problem with that, even though he considered it a sin. He was like considering it as something that he was trying to fight against, but you know, it doesn't matter. Like they, you know, the fact that he even feels those feelings or whatever is enough for them to be like, fuck this guy forever, you know?
I see throughout the scriptures and throughout history, God using crooked lines to make God using crooked sticks to make perfect lines. Somebody said, I
Crooked, that's cute. I've never heard that one. God uses crooked sticks to make a perfect line.
personally think the chosen should hold to
Stuff
higher
they say.
standards because they are obtaining to portray our Lord Jesus Christ and his ministry. I think you have the right to think that, Cheesy. I think you have the right to think that. Totally have the right to think that. You don't have to watch. I think I'm more in the line of what do we have to do to get the best product out there? If I'm trying to build technology that's innovative, if I'm trying to build, make an album that's great, I'm not thinking about the personal lives of everybody that's participating in said project, right? Personally,
Okay.
I'm not.
So he's not. It sounds like he's almost more about just like it's the end justifies the means kind of thing. Like he's trying to say like, hey, as long as it gets a good Christian product out to everybody, then it's okay if a couple people that are okay with gay people. Because let's face it, we don't know if anybody there was actually gay or anything. We just know that they were in support of gay people and putting up a flag saying that it's safe for them to be there. You know, and he's kind of the end justifies the means type, which it's still wrong. Like he's still wrong, but I'd rather people have this guy's attitude rather than the bloodthirsty bigot, you know, tirade, cancel culture, you know, people that we're getting lately.
Now, if it's a ministry, if it's a church, I could see your point. But they're not. They've never been a ministry. They've never said they were a ministry. So we can't look from the outside and define what someone else's business
Here's
is.
another one. It's this
Hello. Okay,
this
gonna come on
light,
quick tonight. I was not planning on going live today. However, my hand was kind of forced after a bunch of people kind of reached out, talked about this issue. Yes, I noticed it. Yes, we're going to talk about it. But I thought this had already been hashed out. So there's a lot of things we're going to go through, a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. And yeah, I just need to talk about this. Like I said, I was not planning on going live today. Let me make a few things clear before we get going. I am not the chosen police. Okay, so
look what
I have to say here.
Look what their rabid base is like forcing him to be like. He said his hand was forced to go live. He said he wasn't planning on going live today. His hand was forced because everybody was just, hey man, why aren't you saying anything about this? How dare you not say anything about this? Where are you at with this? How come you haven't made a video? Like that. the people are sending him this stuff, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll make a fucking video, you nutbags. Like,
Here is to help us talk about this biblically, is to walk through practically how we walk through situations like this in our own lives and all of that. But we're going to get there when we get there. First off, let me go through the situation, explain the situation, and kind of dive into it piece by piece. So recently, during our, our normal behind the scenes stuff, but also the Chosen's behind the scene YouTube video is really where this kicked off. There was a frame in the video, a couple frames, like a 5-second clip in the video that showed a flag. Okay, so I'm going to show you that first as we dive in. And so here is that here, and we'll just watch this 5-second clip.
So who would have thought Judas and Z doing
There it
laundry
is.
together would be one of the most fascinating scenes in season 4?
So that is the clip right there. If you go
Less
back, you'll
than-
see right
look
over
at that.
here that there is a
Teeny tiny.
flag, rainbow flag, right?
Oh my god.
Now, of course, tomorrow being June 1st, being Pride Month, of course, everybody's immediately going towards this as a pride flag, which
Of course
it is. I'm not going to lie to you. It is. However, this is not the Chosen's pride flag. They're not just hoisting this flag around because they can or because they're gay affirming.
But I mean,
This
look,
is a
it's
specific
also here.
person's
Hold on.
pride flag. And so
because it looks like it's this dude here might be, and he seems to be, or I can't really see the gender of them, so they seem to be, having these flags on their back or whatever, and they're clearly a cameraman or camera person, it's so, and this looks like it's on another piece of equipment. It's clearly, the tech folks that are working on this,
So if we notice over here to the right as well, there's a cameraman who is also known as Ready Steady Dan. He's been part of the crew for a while now, at least through season 3. He might have been there beforehand, but I think he might have come on season 3. But you can see even on his vest, there are pride patches. Okay. And we've seen this in a lot of different areas, including behind the scenes that we've gone through on this channel, including this clip here.
It's crazy. They're just like, how dare he have those little tiny rainbows on his jacket? Like, don't you see that? Like, this is getting to a point where y'all are just they're drunk with power, and they're bloodthirsty. I mean, it is just disgusting. Like,
where he
oh,
is
God.
again using the steady cam, and you can see on the back of his vest, same stuff there, same patches. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely a person who is celebrating pride on the crew. Okay, again, this is not just a normal rainbow stuff, and I didn't want to do this, but I have to kind of do this in order to kind of show you guys an understanding of what's kind of going on. So again, same person. This is his Instagram page, and we can see here that he's got different pictures, including this one with a sign that says "Make America Gay Again" and trans people belong here. So again, that's kind of where we're sitting with this. Okay, so that is the situation.
That's a great
that we're
sign,
looking
by the
at.
way.
Now,
I want to get this sign, actually. If I could just have that permanently in the background, that would make my life. You know what I mean? That is so cool. Good for this dude. And I'm glad that, he's there working on set of this Christian movie, surrounded clearly by people that hate this dude's guts, and hate what he believes. And he's just there doing it. I mean, that is, everybody talks about like, oh, you shouldn't say that. It's like takes courage. I'm just being myself and all this. It does take courage to be yourself out loud, though, around people that might hurt you or that might hate you for it, right? At the very least. Jesus.
Now, let me talk through this with you, okay? Let's look at this from a biblical point of view. Again, the Chosen is not a church. The Chosen is not a ministry. The Chosen is not, led by pastors or created by Christians. Okay,
I love how they
majority of
make it where it's
people-
like, because then it would be okay. Then we have to hate everybody, and make sure that they never are allowed to do anything, anytime, anywhere, ever. Because, that's a ministry, and ministries, we can say that you better not have any support for gay people or, trans folks or anything like that at all. We can jump in, and we actually have a duty. It's our duty, to jump on and pounce on these people supporting members of society that don't follow their religion in accordance with who they are attracted to or how they identify. It's unreal, man. They're so pathetic.
Work on this show. And again, let me say that very clearly. The majority of people that work on this show are not Christians. Okay. Now, Dallas and his team of writers are Christians. Okay. A lot of people behind the scenes on the core Chosen team are Christians. But many people that work on the show, including makeup artists, hair, camera people, crew behind the
Hey, you
scenes,
say
a
camera
lot
people.
of them,
Nice.
many of them are from Hollywood. They're from the filmmaking business. Now, this goes back to what we've talked about over and over and over and over again when it comes to The Chosen.
So this looks like Dallas respond. Let's watch this, and then we'll maybe finish
So,
up.
how's your week been going?
So this guy, an
We've
actor.
had a big week on The Chosen. Primarily,
He's I can't remember who they said he plays, but yeah, he's one of the actors on the show. Or I don't know, or he
because
works on the
we're
show.
in the middle of filming season 4, but also because some stuff has happened online, as it is wont to do. And in this video, I would like to provide some clarity on what's happening, even if we disagree. As Dennis Prager says, I prefer clarity to agreement. And so I'm going to try as quickly as I can to share a few thoughts on all that's gone on. And occasionally I might glance at some notes just because I want to make sure I remember everything. So number one, here is what you've been hearing. And here's what happens if you go on YouTube and scroll through. You'll see a bunch of pretty hysterical headlines at times. The things like The Chosen waves pride flag on set. The Chosen's all about the money and they've sold out and they're trying to please the woke and The Chosen is promoting yada, yada, yada.
Jesus Christ.
So here's the thing. I'm not responding to them. I'm not responding to anyone who started all of this. I am communicating to you, the potentially confused viewer. And I'm just giving you clarity. Like I said, even if we disagree, at least the disagreement should be about accuracy and the correct things. Now, why didn't I respond earlier this week when this all started to blow up? Basically, because I'm busy. I have been making the show. It's a 12 to 15 hour a day exercise, and I always focus on the work first and foremost, and we try to avoid caring about or listening to the noise that's around the work when it does come up. But it's not like this is new for us, and the things I'm going to share in this video are not newly formed. I don't have to think about them or drum up any kind of new response. This is all based on stuff that has been on. This is hysterical. I'm not saying that. Many of you have very legitimate and fair questions. I'm just saying that when you look on social media, you're always going to be shown the most engaging and eye-catching and clickbaity headlines, and it's, I'm sure, going to throw you off sometimes and cause some confusion. So in our now or never, all or nothing times, this turned into a bit of a culture war, kind of an intra-Christian culture war. And we're getting compared to companies that actively promote whatever woke agenda that people are concerned about. So on our set, just to be clear, this is nothing new. Like I said, we've had for a long time, our cast and crew have wildly different beliefs. They run the spectrum, and they sometimes...
Yeah, it's almost like humanity is like that. I know it's crazy. And everybody just like Christians are the only people that don't seem to get that, where they're just like, oh no, everybody has to think exactly like me in order to exist.
Wear t-shirts or hats that go across the entire spectrum, from a pride flag or a MAGA hat or a Jesus Saves shirt. And no one's been triggered. No one on our set minds. Everyone loves our fellow cast and crew members, including the overwhelming majority of our visitors and like our extras, our background extras who come in and see all of this stuff. And unless people are jerks or don't work hard, we are a huge, like we're a family. We're very tight knit on set, and everyone loves the experience. And our personal policy has always been that we don't police individual workspaces or social media. So when we bring on independent contractors like our cast and crew, just from the beginning, Amanda and I, when we first started The Chosen, and my partner Daryl and others, we've just made it very clear to each other, to our cast and crew, and to
Because
you.
you see, it's so interesting because you see that like their logic, the right wing logic, like tends to eat itself all the time, right? So in order to basically be against cancel culture and be pro free speech, two things that that the right loves, they're all about free speech, absolutism, and they hate cancel culture. Oh man, and so they're running. Even if this guy, I don't know if he is, if he's like conservative, like a hardcore conservative or whatever, like he's like, oh no, we don't police what people do or say on social media. They should be allowed to say whatever they want and this, that, and the other. Right. And then like the same conservatives that believe that exact kind of stuff will then sit there and go get all mad when people like promote like anything that's okay with the queer community or anything like that. And it's just shows, and then now they're wanting to police their speech and police their they can't be flying a flag or a pride flag because they're not, they're against that expression, which does fall under the free speech. So in an attempt to be conservative and like and be in alignment with that, like they end up getting eaten by their own. It's insane because their logic just is so self-defeating all the time. It's like, oh no, we made these rules that are only supposed to apply to the left. They're only we can only they're the ones that are not allowed to have free speech. They're the ones that are not allowed to do this, that, and the other thing. We're allowed to do that. That's why they get so messed up when they write laws that end up hitting them. Like when they made the laws that basically said you would do 5 years for damaging federal property in an attempt to target Black Lives Matter. And then immediately after that bill passed and became law, they went and attacked the Capitol. And now they're all like, oh, we're being treated so unfairly. How no Black Lives Matter people have to be in prison this long, or yeah, maybe you shouldn't write laws that directly target your opposition and then go do the exact thing that you had them outlaw, you idiot.
Actually, that we do not
Anyway.
have a religious or political litmus test for who we hire, and we also do not police individuals' social media or their own personal workspaces, like their own gear, their own equipment, their own T-shirts. And we just made that decision years ago. I'll explain why in a little bit. But our cast and crew can say what they want on social media, and as long as they are not harming anyone else on set, kind of the usual rules of everyone just kind of respecting each other. They're their own person.
Yeah, like consent and bodily autonomy, all that stuff that the right wingers hate,
Even in this last week, some of our cast said some things online that I wouldn't have said, and we talked about it, and I just said, you can say what you want, but I think here's examples of wisdom that we could practice, and but that's just how we've operated from the beginning. So this particular issue this week, this is not our problem. We're doing the same thing we've always done. It's a philosophy we've had all along. We've communicated it repeatedly. Our visitors and whatnot see it when they come. In fact, when we filmed the feeding of the 5,000, some of our crew members, in fact, one of our crew members had this pride flag on his own personal equipment then too. So there's nothing for us to do about this because I don't change my mind based on responses. But there's nothing for us to do but repeat what we've already said. And if this issue bothers you, that's fine. But that's not really something for us to be concerned with or try to change. You don't like my philosophy on personal workspaces on my set? Okay. I mean, again, like I said, this is not the first time. And I just don't make decisions based on disagreements or how people might respond. That said, here is a refresher. Now, before you turn off the video because you go, that's it. I knew it. They're not going to apologize. They're not going to change their mind and they're wrong and I'm done. That's fine. But here's a refresher on things we've said before and maybe some little clarifications on things we haven't said yet. Number one, and this is very important. We are not a church. We are not a nonprofit. We're not a ministry.
That's sort of like the argument that they're all like all the ones that are like, yeah, but we need this show to go out to the public because nobody's ever heard of Jesus before, and we need it to be on a big channel, in a public channel, and they're not a church. They're not a church, and so that makes it okay,
We're not any kind of religious or political organization. Now, the content itself can be ministerial, of course. And even the term Christian production, I've heard that thrown around. Again, I haven't been paying much attention to social media, but when my team has been obviously asking me some questions about how to respond, and I've heard the term on a Christian production, you shouldn't XYZ. I'm not exactly sure what that term means, to be honest. Now, don't let that scare you. Can a
Well,
production be Christian?
yes, it absolutely can. Just see any of Kevin Sorbo's movies, or Kirk Cameron's movies, or any of the Ray Comfort movies. Yeah, there's definitely such thing as a Christian company. A Christian film corporation or company or whatever.
The content can, of course. I mean, we're a show about Christ. So we're probably one of the most Christian content in history because we are about Christ, who's in the word Christian. But the production itself, the equipment, the crew, the
Very good.
team, the set. I mean, we film all over the place on different sets, and we work with different vendors, and we don't have any kind of corporate policy about statements of faith or anything like that. We don't have corporate prayer on our set.
See, right there, they're getting pissed. Like, people are getting pissed. They're like, what? You don't have a statement of faith before you're on the show, The Chosen, about Jesus? Evil. That means just you could have a Satanist working there, bringing devils on just for fun.
But we have all kinds of employees. There's no statement of faith they're required to sign, like I just said. There's no offset clauses, like off the set, this is how you have to behave, or anything like that. So strangers to the show, or people online who keep saying The Chosen Inc. is a ministry or a church or should be like one, that doesn't necessarily make it true. Our company standards and practices and my own personal calling and ministry and my personal life and how I run my business, it might not be the same as yours.
Okay, so it does sound like this dude is a Christian, but he's clearly not as he doesn't really sound like a fundamentalist Christian, if I'm being honest here.
Can that be okay?
No.
I mean, even if you
Do you know your
disagree,
audience?
can that be okay? Can
No,
how we
no,
do it
can't do it.
be different from how you do it?
No, you can't do that.
Maybe not, but it's just important for you to
Yeah, you clearly haven't read anything online because that's why you shouldn't make shows. This is why nobody wants to make anything for Christians, because they are never happy no matter what. If you make something like the Noah movie was made, it was a Christian story, like a story from the Bible, right? They got mad at that because they didn't do it exactly the way their doctrine wants you to, and if you don't do it at all, if you don't ever go, oh, then how dare they took Jesus out of the movies. Now they're never happy no matter what. It's unbelievable.
remember that we are a for-profit public company as of now, and because of that, we might run things a little differently than you would, and we certainly run things differently than a church or nonprofit or ministry. Second important point that kind of guides some of our principles on this. Solomon built the Holy Temple. I mean, this is the Holy Temple of God. And the labor and the materials, many of them came from what's described in the Bible as pagan nations, pagan workers.
He
got help. And when he asked...
but Solomon also had like a bunch of concubines. he had a lot of things that I think Christians always tend to be like, well, yeah, but he was wise, though. He was wise because
the king, I believe, the king of Tyre, Tyr, I don't remember how to pronounce it. He referenced David, that David had done the same thing. And this is the Holy Temple. And it was built by what the Bible describes as pagans. People, but let's maybe not use the word pagans. Let's just use the word people.
Slaves, probably slaves. Yeah, probably slaves. Yeah.
People who strongly would disagree with Solomon or David in their spiritual practice. And you think also of like Bible. I've used this term before. When a Bible is printed, do you think that the people who print the Bible, the people who deliver the Bible, are all of the same faith? Very likely not. And so our philosophy has been that, look, if Solomon can work with people on a holy temple, with people who disagree with him, then so can we. Now, to be clear, I know you're saying, some of you are saying, yes, we're okay with you working with people of different faiths, but we're not okay with them, promoting something, their own agenda on set. And that's fair. If you
They're not.
disagree.
No, I mean, I'm sure they are fine with that as long as they aren't gay and it isn't about gayness or being part of the queer community or anything like that.
With that, I'm not sure how that quite relates to the content of the show or how it relates to your particular life if you don't work on the show with me. But
Exactly.
we can have a difference of opinion about that, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm just
Clearly
expressing
not.
our philosophy, and we don't find that anyone on our cast or crew are actively pushing anything in our face or saying things on set that are difficult or offensive. Now, this is another important point, and one of the main reasons why I have this philosophy, why I came into the show having this philosophy, because oftentimes the roles have been reversed. I've seen it's happened both ways, but I've seen it also where Christians aren't allowed to express themselves at work or on sports teams, or when bosses force their employees to wear a certain thing, put on a patch, line up for some sort of cause, and or resist one of their employees doing it. And I would imagine that if
I
you,
mean, like most of the time, what they're talking about when it comes to that shit is proselytizing. Like, yeah, they don't. Your boss doesn't want you fucking proselytizing. Like when you're trying to, when you're taking down the order at the Olive Garden, they don't want to be like, hey, do you guys know about Jesus? Yeah. Well, no, I'll get you the breadsticks in a second. Check this out. Now Jesus was tortured, murdered for your sins. And he loves you. He loves you. And yeah, they don't want that, man. Like,
were an employee at a place that had different beliefs than you do, and you wanted to show up and have a crucifix or a Jesus Saves sticker or something on your own personal workspace, and they said, no, you can't do that. I don't want you to do that. You're triggering someone else or whatever. You would, I would imagine, be not happy with that. We've seen that happen before, and people complain about it and people protest it when they see it happening.
when?
And I would agree.
What, somebody just having a cross necklace or something? I highly doubt that. I've never heard of anybody getting mad that somebody has like a cross necklace or what do you call those things? A rosary or something on their desk hanging up or anything like that. Come on, no. I doubt it.
I don't like that either. I think that's wrong. And so because I believe that that's wrong, even when the roles are reversed, then I would believe that it's wrong in my case, even if I disagree with something that someone may wear or post. Now, that said, we just agreed from the beginning, Amanda and I just said that this is going to be our philosophy. Now, if we were a church, or if in the description I provided, you're working for a political organization or something that has in its bylaws and as it's set up, a particular statement of faith, then I think that's fair. I mean, again, I'm politically libertarian. I believe in freedom and that companies can do and operate how they want. And that includes, of course, nonprofits and ministries. And so if we were a church, my church has a different approach to hiring and whatnot than I do on my set. I understand that would be different, but we are not. Number 4 in the list of
Oh my
important
good God,
points.
this guy needs to just get to the point, man.
Look, here's
Come
the
on.
thing. When it
Let's
comes
go.
to
Let's move it.
our cast and crew and my own beliefs and philosophies, I'm not an atheist, and neither is the production company an atheist. But I'm happy to work with those who are. If
Do companies like are companies like able to be convinced of things or not be convinced of things?
they are
Like,
working hard.
and I've never heard of an atheist company. Does that just mean like a not religion? Like it's not picking one specific religion, therefore it's an atheist company? Come on,
for the show,
it's weird.
and I don't police their social media. I don't. My company won't.
Yeah,
look
I
into
think we've kind of got
content
it.
of
Let me
my
see if we
sets.
can.
There is pride has gotten me in trouble, but Christian religion. I'm not a liberal personal, and not that has anything to do with the show itself. But I'm not a liberal, and neither is the Chosen Inc. I don't celebrate Pride. I don't celebrate Pride Month. I don't celebrate the Pride flag. If I wore a shirt, it'd probably say humility on it, just because Pride has gotten me in trouble. But I neither does the Chosen Inc. As an evangelical conservative, I'm actually probably a minority on our set. And here's the thing: our cast and crew, the majority of them who believe the spectrum of things, including the things I just about. Don't expect me to agree with them on everything, and don't expect me to celebrate.
Because how could you? Why we can't anybody can't expect anybody to believe exactly what they believe. That's crazy. Like I do think that we should have like a bare minimum of like acceptance of people, so that we don't have like Nazis like just saying I won't work, on the same company with any Jewish people and shit like that. You can't have that, obviously. Right. But that doesn't mean that like we all have to agree on everything. This is where it gets so stupid. People just saying that they can work in the same company with gay people, or just having a flag that like shit demonstrates that hey, the LGBTQIA plus community can be safe here. If you can't do that, like it's just that's not the same thing as agreeing with everybody. You know what I mean? And they like to conflate that type of stuff.
Their thing or celebrate their cause. I love our cast and crew. I will go to war with them any day, and I will stand in the breach to defend them any day. And we are a family.
That was
and
really
always have.
that sounded like a very self-contradictory. He said, "I love them and I'll go to war with them, and then I'll defend them," all in the same sentence. I'm just like, okay, I think he meant something, or war for them. I think he meant.
Them. And we take that very seriously, even though we know we disagree on some big stuff. And I can guarantee you, some of our cast and crew have seen posts from other cast and crew, or posts from me or my wife, and have probably disagreed with them. Well, not probably, have disagreed with them. I'm sure we vote differently. But we love each other. We have conversations and disagreements in the context of relationship. And their incredible work on this project makes the show better. And if you love The Chosen, and if you love its message, that happens to be the only show, really the only TV show in the world that's unashamedly about Jesus himself and his message of salvation. It's largely because of the atheists, Mormons, Catholics, liberals, people who support issues you don't like. And yes, evangelicals and conservatives who work so hard for this show and for you. And I think those who are doing it, even though they disagree with me on some big issues, and are willing to still work for the show and work for the message, a message they might not necessarily believe in, they should be getting a thank you for putting the work and for putting the family above their own personal beliefs.
So in other words, e pluribus unum, out of many, one, because that's the way reality works, it's so frustrating that we can't seem to get past this as a society. Like we're having the hardest time just getting along, when that's our whole, like our country is all about this. And just because it's so easy to motivate people through anger and vitriol, to get them to the polls to vote, and get them to, and actually it's less about the getting them to the polls to vote. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, but the more importantly, it gets people to spend money. That is what this is really all about. If they can say, hey, send us money, we're fighting against the people trying to cut your kids' genitals off or whatever, um, they're gonna say, oh man, we got to send money to this, and so those divisive issues it's just going to keep getting more and more, it's just going to keep getting worse if we can't figure out some way to demonstrate to everybody that, hey, y'all, you're just being manipulated. This is just a game to them, and but the problem though is we can't just because we can see what it actually is, just because we can see that these are all just games to get people to donate money and get them to the polls and things like that. That doesn't mean they're like, oh, okay, well then I don't have to vote because both sides, blah blah blah. No, because the problem is that like we do see that it is just a game. These people don't actually care about that. A lot of the people with the power, a lot of the politicians and stuff, they're just using it to motivate people. But what they're doing is causing using the law to hurt people, hurt our loved ones, hurt our friends and family, and so that makes us, it's our responsibility now to go out and push back on this type of stuff. And just because we could see that it's all a game to them doesn't mean that people don't get hurt in the crossfire of it. So, but keep in mind, I think that letting people know that it is actually just a big game, that these are just wedge issues to get people out there and everything. I think if the people on the right, like could understand that a little bit more. I don't know how to get through to them. Like, I don't think anybody knows how to get through to these people. Their heads are so blendered. It's unbelievable. But if we could figure out some way to just get through to these people and let them know they're just being used. They're just being used by people with a lot of money that want to make more money. And that's, and that's it. That's the end all be all. They don't actually give a shit about any of this stuff. It's just like Rupert Murdoch. Like he said that the spiritual stuff freaks him out. Oh, he's like Christians like freak him out. But you wouldn't think that if you watched Fox News, but he just sees them as the marks that they are. They are marks. They're easily manipulated. They're easily lied to, and he figured that out a long time ago. And even though he's freaked out by them, he's like, I'm not freaked out by their money. So he's going to do what he can to get their money. And unfortunately, for most of us that have loved ones that are, or those of us that are in the LGBTQIA plus community, we're getting hurt because of all this stuff, like a lot, especially if you look at some of the laws here in Florida. But well, hey, thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions about anything, leave a comment in the comments below. And if you want to support the show, you can go over to adamandeve.com, buy something cool, and get 50% off of any one item. And then you get 6 free DVDs. You get 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her, and one for both of y'all. And then you can get and you get free shipping on the entire order. So definitely head out and do that if you want to support the show. That'd be great. That's why I try to make the product that supports the show something that everybody can enjoy, just about, and people won't be disappointed with. So go head out there and do that. Please like and subscribe, share the show around, all those type of things. And if you want to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/unapologetics. It's like unapologetic, but with an X instead of a C. And you can support the show there. Or, like I said, you can buy the products from adamandeve.com, putting in code word Brently at checkout. That's code word Brently, BRENTLY at checkout. And you can get, like I said, the 3 free gifts, 6 DVDs, free shipping, and and 50% off any one item. And like you see there, they got a lot of good stuff there. So but stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate. We'll see you next time.